I don't mind.
We're gonna have another meeting.
You did extremely well. I watched the video last special call. You made me proud.
I didn't know what that, I thought the handout
Please help this.
Oh, man, this is about time. We got 1 minute, Joe.
those are the previous.
Right, so we just got two things tonight. Short I thought we were going to do that.
Don't you dare say it.
I thought we were going to do
Been
that.
time to know a lot of time to get to somebody's, leave it in your calls.
That morning caught me by surprise. I thought that was going to be a working thing, just us.
Yeah, I did
I didn't
too.
expect the alderman to be there.
Kept saying it. It felt like we were getting to sit at the adult table for Thanksgiving.
So are we still going to do our working committees like we talked last month?
Section just for you to ask. Section 6.
Like we talked about on the 10th.
6 on the dot. Yep, we ready.
All right.
Everybody ready? All right. Good evening. It is Tuesday, December 10th, 6 o'clock. Planning Commission for the City of Ocean Springs. Anybody that can, please rise. I'll say a quick prayer. We'll get Joey to lead us in a pledge. God, we thank you so much, as we always do, that we get to live here, God. We get to try to help steer this city in the right direction, help us to make good, informed decisions, help everyone to understand what's going on, God. We thank you for Christmas season and help us to remember what all happens and while we're here. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. If y'all can silence your phones, minimize distractions, that would be great. Meeting is called to order. All commissioners are present minus Nick. First item of business, approval from the minutes on the 11/12 meeting. Do I have any comments on those?
I make a motion that we approve.
Motion to approve by Matthew, second by, we'll give it to Marshall. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Those are approved. We have no old business, so we will go into new business. Both items will be public hearings. I'm going to read this real quick. The public is invited to address the Planning Commission for up to 3 minutes for each speaker for a maximum period of 30 minutes. Planning Commission will take all comments under advisement. Please identify yourself while speaking. Item 4A is going to be a residential short-term rental permit, 805 Cleveland Avenue. Parcel ID is 60137120000, located in the density zone with a cap of 55. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing? Motion Matthew, second Marshall. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing. Ms. Carter?
Yes, as you previously mentioned, this is located in the density zone with a cap of 55. We currently have 51 approved permits with 4 pending. If all applications are approved, the cap would have been met. Advertising for both yard signs, legal advertisement, and notification of the adjacent property was done in compliance with the UDC, and there are no correspondence received for or against the STR.
Okay. Anybody have any comments from staff? Is the applicant here? Did you want to speak? You don't have to, and then you get a chance to rebut at the end if anybody else has anything you want to respond to. So if you want to, you can speak. If not, you can reserve comment for later. Okay. We'll reserve comment for later. Is anybody else in the audience here to speak about 805 Cleveland Avenue? Short-term rental, 805 Cleveland Avenue. Yes, ma'am. Name and address at the microphone, please.
My name is Melissa Marion. I live at 608 Cleveland, and you just answered one of my questions about what the cap was and how many you already have. But I was here a couple months ago, and I went back because we couldn't get the answer to that question that she just answered for me. But I actually did a quick VRBO search, and I was very specific about the areas of VRBOs I put in my search criteria within walking distance to downtown or walking distance to the beach. Those were my two specific requests. I stopped counting at 140, and there were still several pages left to go in the Google search. Now, I understand the McClendons are good friends of mine. I don't have anything against them, but how can they have 140 plus on the VRBO?
So we've discussed this a lot, and I'm not sure how the search that you did works, but I do know
I
that.
just explained how specific I was.
Sure. I do know that like Gulf Park Estates, Walton, Claim, Ocean Springs, a lot of those get mixed in. There is no cap in the commercial districts. I'm not sure. I don't know if you have a better answer, Carter, for how to.
Probably, I mean, we definitely have not met the cap. We keep up with the residential cap because that's what's capped. We do not, I mean, I can tell you how many, but it's probably the commercial mixed in. And then I would not, yes ma'am.
They're boutique hotels and they're commercial businesses. I understand that.
Now, the overlay districts for government and Porter and everything do not have cap limits on them, and that is not commercial areas. So, just to let you know that.
Those of us who are residents of the historic district of Ocean Springs, it seems as though we have no say-so about what goes on in our neighborhood. I think that we need to have a voice. People have tried and tried and tried. And I understand they can make more money probably doing short-term rental than they can a year-long lease with a family. But our opinions and voices need to be considered when y'all make these decisions. We can't have one every other house. Can't be that way.
So, at the end of the meeting, everything, I'd like to kind of address a few things with the short term, but moving on in this application and everything. So, if you don't mind sticking around.
Okay. Thank
You
you.
gonna do something in commissioner form?
Yep.
I'm gonna make a note so I don't skip you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else in the audience want to speak about 805 Cleveland? I'm sorry, I didn't even see you stand up.
Jeannie Milstead, yeah, I'm short and have a broken foot, so I'm even shorter. I'm at 515 Jackson Avenue, and so this property will adjoin my backyard.
Okay.
I've already had a problem, and the police have been super nice with noise. And in the meantime, my alderman said I had to show up tonight because I called him, and he's like, Jenny, you need to go on public record and not just call me, so that this is on public record. So that's why I'm here. Our neighborhood is changing so much. The reason that I went there is everybody around me has had family residences that are 100 years old. And we've seen more changes in the last 6 months. So are we excited about somebody different in our backyards every weekend? No. Do we feel safe? No. So, y'all tell my alderman I did come, and even with broken foot, and I just, wanted to let y'all know any help y'all can give us. I know they are working on that. He's explained to me that it has to be a legal reason. I get it with you guys. Y'all got rules, and it has to be a legal reason to turn it down. So, I appreciate what y'all do, but, we're just saturated, and it's, we got them across, now I'm gonna have, I'm very sad, knowing in the next couple of weeks, every weekend for the rest of my life, I've got strangers, in the noise ordinance, as y'all know, it's till 11 o'clock at night. So the policeman was super nice, poor thing saw me in my fuzzy pajamas with my hair pulled up because he had to verify it was me. I apologize to him, but he could not have been any nicer. And my alderman's been super nice, and you guys, I know y'all are sympathetic, and so thank y'all for listening.
All right, thank you, Jeannie. Let me, and just on that note, for the record, for this and the next one, we recommend approval, so we don't set the approval. It'll skip next week. It'll go to the first meeting in January for final approval by the board. But I say all that to say, if you want to be back on record, so y'all wouldn't get the permit until January, I can't remember if it's the 5th or something, but first Tuesday in January would be when you actually get the permit, but there would be another hearing and another chance to get on record up there and let y'all's, and Miss Melissa, same for you there too. All right, anybody else in the audience want to speak to 805 Cleveland Avenue? 805 Cleveland, did y'all want to speak on anything?
No, I think we'll rest.
Okay. All right,
Close public hearing.
got a motion by Marshall to close public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Joe, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Any commissioner comments, questions for staff or applicant, anything of the nature?
It'll be the 7th, Andy.
7th, I'm sorry, not 5th, 7th. Okay. And if we don't have any further comments or questions, do I have a motion on 805 Cleveland Avenue short-term rental?
I'll make a motion to approve 805 Cleveland Avenue, PID 60137122.000 for short-term rental, subject to annual renewal.
Second.
Motion Joey, second Marshall, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So again, that will be on January 7th for final board decision. All right, next item of business is going to be item 4B, residential short-term rental, 300 McCool, parcel 613-05181-000, located in the city zone with a cap of 60. Motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Motion Matthews, second Marshall, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in a public hearing, Ms. Carter.
Yes, this STR, as you mentioned, is in the city zone with a cap of 60. There are currently 56 approved permits with 4 pending. If all applications are approved, the cap would have been met for that district, and we would have no more residential STRs for that district. Advertising for both yard signs, legal advertisement notification of adjacent property owners was done in compliance with the UDC. There are letters of opposition in the STR provided in your packet.
For a matter of record keeping, I do remember the Ms. Schumann's letter, but I don't remember.
There should be in your packet.
No, I just didn't know if we needed to address. Do we need to incorporate these in the minutes, or are they already in there?
They
Okay.
need to be incorporated in the minutes.
All right, so
I
we
can
have-
read them for you if you want.
Well, I don't
You
know.
can read them however you want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to read them or not. Do we need to read them out loud or just incorporate them in?
Oh, okay.
So I would do, there's 2 letters, we'll just go ahead and say both of them, even though I think one's already in there. And then there's also the letter of authorization for Donovan. So do I have a motion to accept the 3 letters into the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Motion Joey, second Kevin, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So all we did was just make sure that these records get to the Board of Aldermen there. Carter's done. Is the applicant here tonight? Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, come on if you want your time. Or do you want to wait till the end?
I'll wait.
Okay. Applicant will defer till after. Do I have anybody in the audience here to speak about the cool short-term rental? Name and address at the microphone, please.
Richard Daniel, 2700 Connor Drive. My mother lives at 295 McCool. So some of the questions I have is, how do we vet people that actually rent the property? And then how do we vet the people that are doing the STRs? Because if we would have vetted this one, 300 Holcomb Boulevard, we would have found out that one of the names on the applicants is a convicted felon for real estate fraud. So there's your legal reason, there's your legal out right there. Okay? But I have a number of different things that I want to talk about. We even got a petition up. And on the petition, my neighbor who lives there at 298 McCool Street So she's gonna have one on her left side, her right side, behind her, 2 of them, and then a third one on Holcomb Boulevard. In this little area that's probably a block long, we have 10. We have 105 from Front Beach to East Beach to Beckville, not Halsted, but Beckville. We have 105 STRs. And so on our little petition, undersigned residents of Newport Village, which I didn't even know that's what it was called, are concerned about the growing impact of short-term rentals. Housing affordability, short-term rentals reduces availability of long-term housing, driving up rental prices for residents. Community disruption, frequent turnover of guests can lead to noise, parking issues, and lack of neighborhood cohesion. Safety concerns, increased foot traffic, and unfamiliar guests can compromise community safety and security. Loss of local character. Short-term rentals can change the character of our neighborhoods, making them less welcoming for long-term residents. What we're calling for is a moratorium, which I heard was going to be on the table in the next Alderman's meeting. We need a moratorium on these. Need to get a handle on it. I saw your 2045 plan, doesn't have anything about short-term rentals on it. So what kind of plan is that? When you're planning stuff, let's actually plan how we want the city for all the residents, not just short-term rentals. I don't understand what the attractiveness is to it. Is it you guys,
Let me pause you real quick. Your time's about up. I do encourage you to go to the board with your petition. If you have signatures, we could accept that in the minute if you want it to go into the minute for here. And then, but as far as just closing out your time, if you have anything specific to this property, that's what we're talking about today, not the moratorium on there. So we'll give you about one more
I do
minute.
have something not specific to the property, but I've told you this before. I've been doing this since June 15th. When they had a party at 296 McCool Street, the police had to come. There was 2 armed guards. There was traffic all down McCool Street, all down Mitchell Street. They got 5 guns. There's a police report in there. So I went directly to her and I said, what can we do about it? I was told one time and you're out. She said she felt, the rental person felt horrible about it. Well, horrible and worried about my 92-year-old mother. I grew up there since I was 12 years old. A lot of the people that are there are still there. They live there. One of the older ladies told me, she goes, Richard, the property right here, they've improved it, but I'm afraid because I don't know who's coming in and out.
Gotcha.
And they've had that property for 10 years.
Okay.
And it was a piece of trash when they rented it.
You're at 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and cut you off, and we're going to move on to the next one. Like I say, if you want to hand out your petition, we can incorporate that in the minutes. Who else wants to speak about 300 McCool? Name and address, please.
Sean Barnell, 211 Mason Court. Basically, I've had dealings, I don't know if you allow us to speak the person's name or not. Chris Vaughn. He did rent that house for many years, did not upkeep it at all. The only thing he did do is put a shed into his yard just for his equipment from his house. We didn't have to have it there. There was dogs there that he told me himself because I had dealings with him. Sold him any materials before he did go to jail. They had dogs. My wife walking the 3-year-old down the street. Dog climbed the fence, bit my wife twice. I didn't do anything to Chris, talked to him, got rid of the dog, next thing no more show up. One of my main questions is, I know you have a limit, and are you limited per area is what you're doing? Okay, so the annexed area does not include my area.
The annexed area would be considered a city zone.
Okay, so it will add into the quantity then.
That's correct, but it's not going, no, we're not changing the cap. The cap is not going up.
So the cap is still
is
gonna
going
be-
to remain 115 for the entire city.
for the whole city. So
For
one-
residential.
Okay, for residential. So once we annex, there are areas out there that already are doing short-term. So we should
As
be
long as
at that.
STR stay viable for the city
Okay.
and it's not in a moratorium, then they
Okay.
would be,
What
they
I
would
looked
have
up-
that option, yeah.
Okay, so what I looked up, we will be over that limit before this. When there was remodeling going on there, I had to talk with Chris, there was things going on really early in the morning. He told me to get off the property, I was on the sidewalk, I was trying to keep my neighbors all come to me. They're all retired around me. I've been there for 30-plus years. Everyone is retired, they call Sean, okay? Richard's mom, everybody all in the whole circle. The party that went on next to Daniel's house, I've got a video of it. I actually deleted 4 of the other videos because I didn't just know this was going to come to this. I've had to talk with the police chief of the police. Don't find any charges were ever pressed on anybody there, but the marijuana, the open bottles, people, my wife could not get down the street with the grandchildren from one end of the street where my son lives to my house. There was over 70 cars. They were driving out on flat tires. They were coming out of there, and the police they were about to break the door down. This whole place, my whole block, reeked of marijuana. They went in there. I went behind them. There was more than marijuana in that house. No charge.
Pause you real quick. You're talking about the 296, correct? 296 McCool? That's not the same owner, is it?
No, it's not the same owner.
Okay.
And
So,
also, that house is not listed on y'all's sheet. Just to let you know that. It is not on, I looked it up on 3 different websites. It does not show up.
okay.
I'll check that tomorrow, but
Okay.
we keep.
Lil Vaughn actually brought that up to me.
Okay.
She threw that at me when I was talking to her outside the house. I talked to her, I talked to Chris, they're trying to explain to me what they're gonna do, which is great, but why didn't they do that for the 10 years that they had that house?
Can you,
So,
like I say, same thing though, if you want to get back to 300 for today, and then,
so, the permits came out, he was doing his project, fine, went by the rules. He took the permits down, and I was talking to him on the phone, he took the permits down and I was questioning it, he did it just to agitate the neighborhood. Told me if this did not pass, straight direct words from his mouth, if this does not pass, or he can do this, he'll turn it into a Section 8 for a low-term rental.
Okay.
Straight out of his mouth. That I took as a threat. My neighbors took it as a threat. And like I say, I do listen to every one of my neighbors because 90% of them in that circle are retired people. And yes, they will pass on in one day. But I have grandchildren that might want to buy one of the houses.
all right, well, that's 3 minutes on that. I think we got more. We've already had a chance. Anybody else want to speak that hasn't spoke yet? Name and address at the microphone,
Or
please.
just real quick for clarification on the report, it says Nottingham, this is obviously McCool, right?
I'm sorry?
It says 3244 Nottingham, at least on the version I have.
I was confused about that.
Yeah, it's the location is wrong on the
It's
cover.
McCool.
So
It's
just-
100% McCool.
Just for the record, clear.
Yes, it is.
The report is on McCool.
Correct, and the advertisement was correct. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, there was a correction sheet included, so just, they updated just fix that Nottingham call out and change the parcel ID. Got the name of the owner, looked like it had turned to Spanish,
Okay.
and then.
All right, I'll take
One
care
Yeah,
of
quick
that's
thing
good.
before I was cut off right there about the permits.
So we've got a timeline.
We've already got it. Go ahead, ma'am, name and address at the microphone, please.
Okay?
Name and address, ma'am.
My name's Martha Schumann. I live at 298 McCool Street. And I will have a short-term rental on both sides of my property if 300 McCool Street is approved. They've already spoke about the party.
Sorry, ma'am, I'll give you time. What was your name again?
Martha Schumann. I did write the letter
Okay.
and mailed it
Thank
to
you.
y'all.
Okay.
I was hoping you didn't have to speak, but I just feel like I have to. I mean, there's just so many, Rhonda at 296 was a party, and they were speaking about, I have a 6-foot privacy fence around my property, and they can just, at that party, or anyone for that matter, even other renters, they just stand there and they can look in my backyard, and I paid my house off, I plan to retire in 3 years, I'm not going to leave my house, And I just feel like, you know, right now with the one at 296, Rhonda's house, you know, she allows pets, and every time people come, they have their pets, and I have dogs, and they just run up and down the fence line. It's a constant barking thing. I have to bring my dogs in. When Rhonda lived there, you know, obviously my dogs knew her, and they didn't bark, but every weekend it's just constant. And every weekend that it's rented, I should say. And I'm just worried about what could happen on the other side of me. I'm just sandwiched in between two. I've got them behind me on Holcomb. And when I moved into the neighborhood, most of my neighbors are still the same. And I just wanted, you know, it's a quiet place. I raised my kids there, and that's where I plan to retire. And yes, we had terrible neighbors next door at 300 McCool. He didn't do anything about that. You know, that was a mess. But I almost feel like I knew what I had. You know, we had a fence, and I just, I don't know, I just feel like I just needed to stand up and say something against it. I just ask that you reject the proposal. I just want to thank you for your consideration on that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Martha. Anybody else in the audience want to speak to the 300 McCool?
Can I say something else?
We've got these time limits for a reason, sir. I apologize. Anybody else for 300 McCool? I'm gonna have to call you up, just making sure nobody else wanted to come. All right, so applicant, if you want to rebut, come on, name and address at the microphone, please. Or applicant's representative, I should say.
Good evening, my name is Don Scruggs at 317 Pine Drive here in Ocean Springs. You know, when I got involved with this project, it was primarily to just help them through the tail end. You know, my understanding is that the tenants that were at the home prior to eviction kind of demonstrates that sometimes long-term rentals are not better than short-term rentals. I think there may be even a police report in there related to the long-term rental that was present at this house prior to. The applicant went through the process of a total remodel, which included the removal of sheetrock, floors, and plumbing fixtures. It was a significant investment. And as you know, when you do a short-term rental application, you're required to go ahead and do the lighting, emergency exits, and everything associated with the improvements, and also furnish it. So it's one of those deals to where, you know, when we get to this point, the project is, in a sense, ready to be listed as a short-term rental. There may be issues with the city's short-term rental process. I probably spoke on the opposing side of it a time or two. I've got two, my next door neighbor has one, and then there's one about 2 or 3 houses down, Beal Stewart. So I do know that they are impacting a lot of people here in Ocean Springs. I've never had an issue with those in my neighborhood, and in fact, you know, I have had issues with some people in my neighborhood that I can't get rid of. So I mean, you know, sometimes a long-term rental does not mean long-term besties. You know, so I do ask that you do look at the ordinance. To my knowledge, we have followed it to the best of our ability and to see. And we're looking forward to your design. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Donovan. Anybody got any questions for the applicant before he sits?
I do.
Up on the board. Anybody up here have an applicant question? Okay. Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Motion Kevin, second.
Second.
Joe, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Do you have any questions, comments, concerns from commissioners?
Sorry, what? Kevin, who's that?
Joe did the second.
Gotcha.
All right, so we're out of public hearing. Commissioners?
I guess I have a question. Maybe clarify for the people here. It's my understanding that when we reach the ceiling in these short-term rentals, then the Board of Aldermen will have to make a decision on whether or not to go forward with them. Is that correct?
No.
Yeah,
They
I
can
mean,
make a
they've,
decision not to go forward and just leave it where it is.
That's what I mean. They make a
Oh, yeah.
decision whether or not to go forward.
Oh, yes, sir, that, they would be the ones to.
What you hit to see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we had a discussion at a board meeting or two ago about their thoughts on editing the short-term rental ordinance. If any of the commissioners see any future edits y'all would like, I'm currently in the process of trying to amend the short-term rental. So just send those my way if y'all have any suggestions on amendments. Obviously, that'll be, if to the extent that comes through, that'll be a text amendment that'll have to go through you guys and approved by the board, so.
Is there any way that an audit is done by the city to look at short-term rental ads? I'm not sure. Vacation rental by owner ads in the media, and then whether or not any of those do not have a short-term rental agreement.
Well, let me pause you real quick, Marshall. It sounds like Matthew wants to talk about, get into kind of the weeds of the ordinance here later. Do you want to defer that question to Commissioner Forum? And just let's focus on this application for now and then go back into that. I don't know where I put my agenda here. Then go back into that whenever we get to Commissioner Forum. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it then. Let's stay on 300. Did you have anything specific to it? Okay. Matthew, do you have something? Matthew's thinking deeply. Does anybody else have anything while Matthew's wheels turn? I thought you had something. You may not. Anybody else have any questions or comments on 300 McCool?
Are you talking just y'all? I do have questions.
Commissioners, yes, sir. Yeah, we've closed public hearing.
So we can't reply to what this.
No, y'all can discuss afterwards, after the meeting, and then
Discuss what?
anything you want to with the applicant, but this is not the forum to talk to the applicant.
Okay.
So what about just, I could ask you one more
So we
question.
closed public hearing.
Closed public hearing.
Commissioners are supposed to deliberate now.
All right, so, anybody have any other comments? And if not, do we have a motion?
Well, seeing that it's compliant with the adopted code and all inspections have been done, I'll make a recommendation to approve 300 McCool for a short-term residential permit, subject to annual renewal.
All right, motion by Kevin, second by Joey. All in favor? All opposed? That will carry to the board with the recommendation for approval on January 7th. You got it, Diamond? Okay.
So we have 2 items.
All right. Next item is going to be general public comment. Anything non-agenda items, you have 3 minutes to speak. Anybody in the audience that wants to speak about anything not specific to agenda items, now would be a good chance to do that.
We can speak.
Name and address at the microphone, please, sir.
David McClendon, 116 Halsted, and also the owner of the 805 property. My question is the same question as what's the disciplinary process for short-term rentals who are functioning without approval by the city?
What is I don't know the answer to that.
I would report it to police and also planning
Code
department.
enforcement.
And we can go in with code enforcement.
Yeah. You can just contact me. You want my card?
All right, while she's doing that, did you have, well, you sat down, you probably are done. Anybody else have any non-agenda items to discuss? And now's a good time. Name and address, please.
Ellen Hull, 1217 Sunset. I was asked to speak today because Julia Long couldn't be here tonight. She had a commitment. She got a email from Patty Gaston and said that there was confusion, incorrect future land use on Jackson and other residential beside Porter, that it said it was going to be commercial for future land use. And she said that the mayor called Carter, it says on here, I'm not saying that he did, I don't know, I'm just reading this, so don't say I'm lying. He headed to Natchez for his funeral for his brother, but wanted to let her know that he wanted that to all remain residential, that there was some kind of an error by someone. And Julie wanted me to make the point that if this is in error, we're concerned about other errors on that, especially since you guys mentioned many errors at the working session the other night. I mean, how many more are there? And this is why we really wanted to have participation by the residents, because we're finding all these for you. And yeah, we don't think that this plan is good, and we're paying for something that shouldn't be rushed through, and we're not happy with it. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, anybody else in the audience want to speak? You can speak about, and you don't speak about McCool Place, but you can speak about residential short-term rentals in general, if that's the question.
I don't know if this is on your agenda or not.
Sorry, name and address first, but.
Mary Datsis, 203 Savannah Gardens Road.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It was about 3 parcels that are being rezoned. I just had questions, but it may be on your agenda.
No, it's not on our agenda. We don't have any rezonings tonight, but go ahead and we'll see what we got.
So it was about these 3 parcels, 612-62033, and then 612-62033.050, and then 612-62034. And it said it was request to approval for a lot reconfiguration. The property is zoned R1 and meets the minimum lot size and minimum lot width zoning requirements. I was just curious about it.
Do you know which property she's talking about?
It's over on 3CCC Camp Road.
That hasn't come before you.
Yeah.
Okay, is that going to come maybe January, you
You
think?
just got that in the mail?
Yes. and it
Okay,
says
so
to
that's gonna
come
be on our
here,
January-
Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 at 6 PM. Well,
Is
that's
that going to be on January, you think?
And it got sent to me, my brother, and all our other neighbors.
It sounds like that's going to be another problem for another day. It sounds
Yeah,
like that's
that is-
actually.
That is on January's. I don't know why it says December the 10th. It's not supposed to be.
It does say
They
December.
were on this.
And he's got one too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a school
May I
teacher.
speak?
What's that?
May I speak? So they were on the agenda and their plat did not meet the regulations. They were getting rid of 1 lot and then they were creating 3. So the plat had to be taken off the agenda. They were originally on the agenda, but they do not meet the regulations on the plat, so they will be in January.
Okay.
As long as I get the plat back.
Will there be new letters or just, okay, so there will be another letter sent out, so it looks like that one was pulled and we're looking to come back in January to talk on that one.
Okay, well, thank you.
Sure.
You're welcome.
All right, who's next?
Julia Weaver, 334 Lovers Lane. I would like to thank you all for tabling the comprehensive plan last time and standing up or standing with the residents who believe that the process was not good and that we need to have ward-based or neighborhood-based charrettes so that the public can help create a future that they want and will be proud of. I also echo the sentiment that we should have a moratorium on short-term rentals. It is really bad for rent prices and the availability of housing, and I think that we have gotten off track and that a lot of things that we're doing are for visitors and not for residents, and that we really need to focus on the needs of the residents first. So I just wanted to put those 2 things in the record.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Next. Come on. Name and address again, please, if you don't mind.
Richard Daniels, 2700 Conda Drive. You guys already voted for it, but next time I'll offer to give you a tour around McCool Street and Holcomb Boulevard, so you can actually see the effect it's going to have on the neighborhood.
All right. We need to talk about off-agenda, thank you. All right, anybody else have any non-agenda items?
Just one more.
Okay. Name and address first, too, please.
Sean Barnell, 211 Mason Court. Question for everybody, actually. In the long run, the short-term rentals are there gonna be background checks on people moving into these houses to do short terms? There's no reason why there shouldn't be. At the expense of the homeowner. For example, with the party that happened down the street from me, that man that rented that house was from Gulfport. That right there is a ding, rings a bell, why they come to Gulfport. Find out from a man at my work, he was on social media. That night was gonna be the big party. There were 70 cars then, they were talking about over 190, 200 cars. With a live band completely going. So I would like to be able to look into, for everybody in Ocean Springs, been here all my life, coached football and baseball all my life for 15 years in this town. There has to be background checks for these people coming in these houses. My grandchildren walk up and down the street from one. I live on one end, he lives on the all three of them live on the other. They're walking by 4 Airbnb. Do not know who's in them houses. I don't care if Chris makes this whatever, I'm gonna go back on to him. But at least I'll know who's there. I can look into the background of somebody. But I think that y'all need to really look into having background checks locked in for everybody that does the Airbnb for every rental. I do a background check for myself when I coached baseball this year. I helped somebody with my grandson, I wasn't gonna do it. I coached for 15 years, I got out of it, went back into it this year because the man needed help. I do a background check. What's the difference of me coaching a baseball team and them coming in my neighborhood and not knowing who they are?
All right, thank you. Next, I think, did you want to say something?
I think I'll just get on the side, talk with one more.
Okay, that'll work. Anybody else in the audience for general public comment? All right, we'll move on to Commissioners Forum. Matthew, you had something standing, so I'll let you start.
Well, be talking about short-term rentals and everything. So for the residents of Ocean Springs to voice concerns on a public forum, to bring it before the Board of Aldermen to ask for a reform on our short-term process for the Planning Commission to be able to have, say, in a polite way, of us to have a little bit of a tooth to be able to deny or move forward with it. So that is that on your question on that. So I would urge you to do that. Secondly, Ms. Carter, what I would like to see for the short terms that are approved right now citywide is we had a map done probably a year or so ago where it just had a pin dot of all the approved ones. If we could just get an update at that would be really great to have that there. So,
The mayor.
yeah, it shows the density zone and it shows the citywide. So not giving people's addresses or anything, it just shows where they're located. So,
But they will give the address once they show the location.
well,
Because the lots are on there.
yeah, the lots are on there.
The
I mean, you
addresses.
can go on Jackson County or the city portal.
We have our own, yeah. It's
Yeah,
fine, I'll
so-
take care of it.
Thank you. Andy, you got some questions?
I know Marshall wanted to kind of tack on some of that too. Marshall, you want to take the ball here?
Well, we only have, what? Just a few more before we reach the ceilings in both categories, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, once we reach the cap, no more can be approved until the Board of Aldermen decides to take any action if they want to or not. So, at their next meeting, it's probably important for you to bring up your latest observations of what's going on. The whole reason we put this regulation in effect, a number of years ago was that we had absolutely no control over short-term rentals. So we put in, you have to have an inspection, you have to upgrade the property. If you have police interaction with renters, then you can have your approval revoked. So that was put in place. You have absolutely no control over long-term rentals, as you're well aware. So that's where the whole process stands. The only question I have is there any process that looks at advertising for short-term rentals, VRBOs, and check those against what we have as approved short-term rentals, to see if there are people that are doing short-term rentals that have not had
As much
approval.
as I would love to say that we have capacity to do that, with 3 people running the entire planning department, we don't have capacity. I can try to get to it when I can, but it's not.
I may be,
I mean, I'm working on the comp plan, I was working on the UDC update. I'm running the full department. Now I'm annexing so, I mean, you're looking at
You got, huh?
the director,
If
the
I
planner.
remember,
You're looking at
if I remember correctly, I think it was you. Oh, this is like a year or two ago. Didn't you like contact Airbnb, or maybe Carolyn did, and they were able to like, because the addresses aren't on Airbnb, but I think
you
you
can't
were.
find them.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Weren't they able to get like a thing from, like they
Well,
called?
they have to submit a link when they apply for a residential STR. And so we can go on and check to see whether the residential STR is still there.
No, I'm saying Airbnb actually provided a list of actual addresses and everything to the city when requested.
Oh,
So maybe that we can.
I can check and see how she did that.
They did that about a year and a half ago, because we
Okay.
had that one, the issue
we
with
followed up on
Winchester.
that.
That's,
Followed up, I remember that.
Yep. Yeah, so maybe we can do that. and
Yeah,
get some
I was gonna say,
guidance.
that'll at least be a step in the right direction if it's, facilitates looking at that. That way we can do a crosswalk. Then I have no idea what authority the city has to take action on people that are renting that have not applied for a short-term rental.
There's
Yeah,
a font,
we can
We can
send
go
them a
in-
letter
we
and
can
tell
go
them they
into
aren't in
code
compliance.
enforcement, and we can cite them for code enforcement to go to municipal court.
Okay, so that's how we'll get at it.
I mean, I'm all for making sure people are doing it right.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for doing that, because my quick search today was,
Yeah.
I didn't even go through half of it.
No, they would respond to the city, whether, they won't respond to you, and you understand the workload that the planning department has, so. I think we have an approach, so maybe we can give an update at the next meeting in terms of if that's available to you.
Yeah, Carter, can we get a list of all the approved STRs?
That's what Matthew wanted that map to be kind of the same. one of the
Yeah,
same.
I mean, that does the same thing. And then the second question is there anything that prohibits us from making that list public?
No,
Because
the
as,
list
as
can-
was mentioned,
The ordinance states that the list can be made public.
okay, because, as somebody pointed out tonight, sometimes our residents do a better job than we do of seeing which verbos are actually approved or not. I would, and we can go back to this and talk about it later, but I'd be a proponent of making it public.
I mean,
It would be public, it'd be a public record at that point. I mean, they submit
Right.
applications for their short-term rental with the city, which are public record.
But, I'm talking like a document on the website where you click it and it says,
I mean,
here are all the approved
if
ones.
such a document existed or was created, it would be a public record.
Right.
I mean, essentially, it's public anyway,
Right.
right? You would just have to
That's
open every
why I'm
agenda
asking
ever done.
for a map is just basically just to get the transparency of it, so.
I think if you can come back to us with a recommendation from the planning department in terms of what we've just discussed, what's doable.
I don't know whether it'll be the next one. I've got a lot on my plate right now.
Okay,
I'm working about 130 to 40 hours every 2 weeks.
okay.
I don't have a lot of time left.
Well, at
Unless I
next,
see the work.
at the next meeting, if you get an update in terms of when you might be able to
Okay.
attack it,
I'll
okay?
do my best.
Yeah.
Do y'all have like an Excel spreadsheet without having to put it
No,
on a
I
map?
can do that. I'm talking about the map.
Yeah, just,
No,
if
I
you,
have the
No, we
Excel
don't need a
spreadsheet is
map.
how we maintain the number and we know where
Yeah.
everything is.
yeah, if you can send that out,
Yeah,
then
that's-
maybe we can do some legwork for you.
Yeah.
Happy to.
And one other thing, I don't know if everybody caught it, and I want to make sure I caught it right, but Will, you said you encouraged us to send you any word, like if we want to, because aldermen are talking about this, I mean, it's already been discussed once, it kind of,
Yeah, I intend to bring a draft to the alderman to get the go-ahead, and then we'll go through the process of bringing to through the planning commission and board. So
When-
if y'all have any suggestions too, I'll add those in. And-
like, do that now, not wait till you have, like, we
Yeah,
can get up
I'd like to
tomorrow.
get y'all's input as early as possible, as much as I can, and
Yeah.
So if you have anything you want to talk about, I mean, as far as increase, decrease, caps,
Yeah, I'll be sending you something about just making it public record.
Or what you can deny. If it's not clear on what you can deny
That's
or
where,
what you can approve and what those factors are,
Yeah, I think that's a
then
good
that's
point.
something
Helpful.
very
Yes.
crucial that I think needs to be ironed out today.
Yeah.
Very good point.
I think that was Papania that may have said the teeth part. I can't remember which
Well,
one.
that'll facilitate our review too, in terms of recommending to the
Right.
board, okay? I have another topic once we get done with this.
Anybody else want to talk short-term rentals before Marshall
Not short term.
takes a hard left? You got something else? Yeah. Well, all right, what you got, Marshall?
You talked about the plan. Is that coming to us next meeting?
Which one? I
Comp-
don't know
the
yet. I
comp
haven't
plan.
gotten back the draft. You mean, are we talking about the comp plan?
Yeah.
No, I haven't gotten back a draft.
So we don't know
I've only
the,
provided them with comments, so I don't, until I get a draft in my hand, that's when it'll go on the next planning commission.
Okay, so as of right now, nothing there.
we're waiting on them.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the consultant to give me a draft, and then I need to go through the draft to make sure.
Good, I think it's important. So I think a lot of things were raised at the last meeting we had on that,
Yeah,
and I think a lot of good fixes, so.
yeah,
Okay, good. I just wasn't sure where that was.
yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Do you have anything, Joe was going to bring up the same, do you have anything
I was
else to
just
put on
waiting,
there?
at the last meeting, we talked about having some working groups, but if we don't have anything to look at without a draft, then we don't have a.
Yeah, they're,
Since
I
we're working
contacted them
groups.
today, they're working on it as we speak. And they
Appreciate it.
wanted information on STR, so I sent that to them today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Glad to see that getting incorporated. All right, anybody else?
One more question.
Any other commissioner forum?
Sorry, we're closed. You can talk after.
Anybody else have anything on commissioner forum?
Make a motion to adjourn, so you want to take the comment first?
Second?
Motion to adjourn by Marshall, second Joe, all in favor.
Aye.
All opposed, we are adjourned. Thank y'all much.
When can I call?